Welcome to 10 PC games you should care about in 2016.
Oh, baby, that echo was absolutely beautiful. I don't think I'll be doing that again. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, moving on. This is 10 PC games you should care about in 2016. I'm going to explain the games, and then I'm going to explain why the hell you should care about these games. Because some of them, this isn't a top 10 best games coming out in 2016 kind of thing. No, this is a video where I want to talk about games that are coming out and the kind of impact that they may have on PC gaming and why the hell you should care about said games. So I think we're going to start this off with Total War Warhammer, which should just be called Total Warhammer. I don't know why it's Total War Warhammer. It's such a goddamn mouthful. Total Warhammer would be a lot better. Anyway, why should we care about this? Well, we should care about this because this appears to be probably the best Total War game that has been ever made in terms of features. Graphically, it looks fantastic. When you see things like the overworld map, that also looks awesome. It looks like it could be a Total War, which is going to draw people in from outside of the franchise. So it's going to get me to play the game. I'm a Warhammer fan. No doubt other people who are fans of games or things like Lord of the Rings, dare I even say Harry Potter, yeah, Wizard Harry, and things like that. It's got more of a wider reach and it'll bring people in because it's a fantasy world. You can kind of understand what's going on. One of the issues I had before with the Total War games, and this is me being a complete ignorant, is I don't know what historical units are, and I don't know what historical states are, and all of that stuff. And it can be that was like a barrier to me, which was kind of hard for me to get over. I mean, sure, if you're a history student, then it'll be fine of that period of time, I guess. Then it's fine. You probably will know what some sort of random pikeman from Mongolia it does, or whatever. I don't, and that was always a barrier of entry to me. I think with the Total War games, you had Rome 2, which looked like it could have been the game to bring everybody in. At the time, you had like a lot of TV programs on the TV, which were centered around Rome, and there was a lot of Roman kind of. There was a Roman buzz. I mean, hell, everybody likes Rome, right? That to me was like, oh yeah, this is going to be the game that's going to get me to Total War. Obviously, it was a technical disaster. Now, this is the problem with Total War Warhammer. It could still be a technical disaster. This is Creative Assembly we're talking about, who have an absolutely horrendous launch record of pretty much every game that they've launched, which is impressive and also quite sad at the same time. Now, there is a little bit of controversy with this game straight off the bat, and that is the Chaos race is pre-order DLC, which is terrible because Chaos is such an integral part of Total War Warhammer, which should just be called Total Warhammer, or in fact should just be called Warhammer, because of course this is based on Warhammer Fantasy, or the now defunct Warhammer Fantasy universe, because Games Workshop thought it would be prudent to release a major PC game based on the old fantasy world, when in fact they removed said fantasy world and created a thing called Age of Sigmar, which is totally different. But anyway, that's why you should care about this game, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to bring more people into Total War. It's going to bring you into Total War if you're just a fan of fantasy-related stuff instead of the hardcore history stuff. We just need to hope that it's not a technical disaster on launch and that they sort out this disaster of a DLC pre-order nightmare that they are currently in. Homeworld Deserts of Karak. Now, this is a really interesting one, because why the hell should you care about this game? Well, it's Homeworld. It's a new Homeworld game from the Homeworld devs who made Homeworld. You should care about this game. It's an RTS game. More RTS games the better in my book, because we live in an age where RTS games, sure, they do get made. We had quite a few that came out last year, but they never really take off. They never really. A lot of them tend to focus on multiplayer stuff. I guess it's a StarCraft influence in that regard, where it's like, oh, look at this. It's such a big game for an RTS game because it had a really strong multiplayer scene. What I want to see from Homeworld Deserts of Karak, which of course was called Hardware Shipbreakers, before Gearbox picked up the team behind it and said, look guys, we own the IP to Homeworld, so let's just call your game Homeworld Deserts of Karak. Karak's obviously the place where you where you're kind of, well, I don't really want to spoil the lore, but Karak is where you are at the start of the Homeworld games, and you're trying to find your way back to Higara, which is your homeworld, which obviously is why the game is called Homeworld. You're trying to find your way back to your homeworld. It makes sense, doesn't it? Good God. But this is a ground-based RTS version of Homeworld, and it actually looks really nice. It looks just like Homeworld. Obviously, it's in the past, so the technology's not as crazy, but it's rapidly in the future, or like far in the future from where we are right now. So there's still going to be crazy futuristic stuff going on. But yeah, it just looks like Homeworld, and more Homeworld games the better. But what I really want from this game, and why you should really care about this game, is Homeworld and Homeworld 2 and even Homeworld Cataclysm. They had really, really strong single-player campaigns, like really strong. Absolutely. I mean, Homeworld is probably the best out of all of them, the original. Fantastic. There's moments there that you just will never forget if you're an RTS gamer. It is fantastic. Even right now. I mean, if you play the Homeworld Remastered Edition, which came out January in 2015, you still get the chills. It's like, holy God, this is awesome. I want that in Homeworld Deserts of Karak. I want a really strong single-player campaign in an RTS game, because we've not had one for absolutely ages. Okay, StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void came out in 2015. That was an okay campaign. It wasn't exactly mind-blowing. You know, you don't really care. It's like, okay, it's standard Blizzard storytelling. The last good RTS game that came out, in my eyes, with a really strong story was probably Warcraft 3 and the Frozen Throne from Blizzard. That was fantastic. Now, I don't know whether that's nostalgia coming to me, and the fact, obviously, I play World of Warcraft, and then, you know, you would go through the various WoW expansions leading up to the death of the Lich King, which was fantastic, and you really felt connected to it. Some of the Command & Conquer games which came out in that time, so Command & Conquer 3, which actually I thought was pretty good, from EA, and Kane's Wrath as well, or Wrath, that was also pretty strong as well. But it's been a long time since we've had a really strong single-player campaign in an RTS game, at least in my eyes. So I'm really hoping that Homeworld Deserts of Karak delivers that. XCOM 2. Oh, baby. XCOM bloody 2. Now, I'm really hyped for this. This is probably one of my most anticipated games of the year. It's XCOM 2. I mean, so, okay, let's go back a little while. So we've got XCOM Enemy Unknown came out. I think in around about 2012 that came out. And then we had Enemy Within, which was the DLC for that, which really made the game much better. However, they were still modern XCOM games for this era. It doesn't mean they're bad, but they're not like the original XCOM games, and they're not like games like Xenonauts, which is a very hardcore experience. I mean, if you enjoy XCOM, Enemy Unknown, and Enemy Within, you should play Xenonauts. It's such a fantastic game. Very hardcore, a much more... it's just hardcore. It's way more hardcore, way more difficult. Unless, I guess, you're playing the Long War mod for Enemy Within, which you totally should play, by the way, because that makes the game way better. But yeah, this is XCOM 2. So what's happening in this game, and why the hell should we care about this game? Well, these type of turn-based strategy games, we should always care about them because they work fantastically well on PC. I believe XCOM 2 is a PC-only launch, whereas XCOM did actually come out on the Xbox and the PlayStation, I believe. However, why should we care? Well, they're taking it down an interesting path. One of the reasons that I was really looking forward to XCOM 2, and I wanted it to be a game centered around us attacking the aliens, because at the end of XCOM, Enemy Within, you win, okay? You beat back the alien invasion, you kill the alien boss of the invasion, and everything is fine, okay? You've got a lot of technology because you've stole it off the aliens, your scientists have been researching it. Humanity has advanced rapidly because the aliens have turned up, and we're really good at stealing stuff and using it for our own stuff. So when they announced that XCOM 2, we've lost the war, I was a little bit pissed. I was like, oh, what? I didn't lose the war. I won the war. But what I wanted was a game where I was the aggressor, where I was flying around an alien world, and we were invading the aliens. I know it sounds ludicrous. That's what I wanted. But think about it. That's what they've given us. So XCOM 2 is you're insurgents, basically. The Earth has lost. The aliens have taken over the Earth, subjugated mankind. Mankind does as it's told. Apart from you. You don't. What you do is you capture an alien supply ship, one of the ships that you attack in XCOM Enemy Unknown, quite regular. And this is your base of operations, and you fly around the world taking care of problems. So you actually kind of are the aliens, if you look at it that way. There is a planet, and you're the aggressor, and you're trying to sort things out. But I'm told this is a very strong storyline. Now, XCOM never had a storyline, really. It was just, there were points, like you had to do certain things when certain missions rolled around, capture an alien, interrogate an alien, it reveals an alien base, and things like that. It's not really a story. And going back to Xenonauts, that game was the same. There wasn't really a story. It was just about playing the game. XCOM 2 has a story, so it's going to be really interesting. And I think that's why we should care about this, because it's a turn-based strategy game with hopefully a strong story. And also it's XCOM 2, and it's showing that this genre is alive and well on the PC, and I cannot wait to play this game. It is one of my most, well, as I say, it's probably my most anticipated game of the year. But that's why you should care about XCOM 2. Overwatch. Oh, right. So I'm really biased towards Overwatch. I really like this game, okay? Now, I know not many people have got access to the game right now, but what I do know is the game is launching in 2016. This will be one of the biggest launches of the year. I'm pretty confident in saying that. It is a game where what's going to happen with this game is, right, when you play the game, you will be like, this is fantastic. It plays much better than it actually looks, okay? When you watch videos on YouTube of Overwatch, which of course is just a team-based shooter where, you know, you've got your various heroes that all interconnect together, and there's synergy between some. You have to keep swapping out your heroes to kind of beat the enemy team with whatever composition they've got. Yeah, it's enjoyable to watch, but it doesn't feel the same as when you actually play the game. And what is going to happen with this, when your friends play the game, they will tell you about the game, and you will buy the game, and there'll be a crazy ripple effect where everybody will end up playing Overwatch. It's an awesome game. Nobody really thought that Blizzard could pull off an FPS game. They have. Even right now, at this early stage in the closed beta, they've pulled it off. This game is... I love the game. I mean, it's the best game I've played in 2015. One of the reasons why I'm not running around saying, oh, it's my game of the year and all of that is because it's not launched, is it? It's not out, so I can't really claim that. But of the games I've played last year, this has been the game I've played the most. I've played this game for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. Every time you play this game, something different happens. Every single time. It will not be the same. And that is just mind-blowing design. When there's only been, as of now, there's only been a couple of maps that I've played on with 2 game modes, and the maps have been locked to one game mode. You know, there's not multiple game modes on different maps. Every single game is totally different, and it is just insane. And why should you care about this game? Well, it's a brand new FPS title. That's PC. Okay, it's not PC only. It is available on the consoles, or it will be available on the consoles. But let's be honest, PC will be its primary platform. That's coming out in 2016 from a major developer. They've invented a new IP. You don't see this that often. You just see the same games coming out year after year after year. Look at DICE, yeah? Battlefield 5, there's already been rumours about that. That'll be coming out. That's not nothing new. It's just going to be a modern military shooter, right? Hopefully they prove me wrong, but Call of Duty, Activision, it's going to be the same game. You know, there's no difference. This is a totally different game. It's going to have an insane esports scene. It's completely built to support that. It's ridiculous. They're upgrading the spectator tool, so it's going to be even better to watch. I still do believe it's fantastic to play, and when you do play this game, you will be blown away. It's insane. That's why you should care about Overwatch anyway, ladies and gentlemen, because Sty says you should. You should. No Man's Sky. Oh, God. So, we've covered this game quite a bit on the Unit Lost channels, and this is a game about exploration. Exploring an endless, procedurally generated universe with procedurally generated planets, procedurally generated monsters, procedurally generated, and I can't say that word again. In fact, I challenge you to say that procedurally. Yeah, try that, ladies and gentlemen. This is a game about exploration. It's about discovery. It's got some sort of combat in it, but it's not a game about flying around and killing loads of people. In fact, where this game appears to be going is you're just going to fly off in one direction and endlessly discover stuff until you get bored. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to hold the attention span of your average console gamer, because do remember, this is coming out on the consoles as well, but it's also coming out on PC at the same time. Why do I think PC gamers would be more willing to play this game, and why the hell do I think they should actually care about this game? Well, I actually like exploration games, and I'm looking forward to playing this game, flying around in my little spaceship, discovering things and seeing what's going on. The biggest issue I've got with the premise of this game is it going to actually keep me interested for any extended period of time? Right now, I think it's going to keep me interested for a couple of weeks. Maybe that's a push, maybe a week or so. Then I might get bored. But I really want to experience this game. I want to see what they've built, because technically it looks absolutely brilliant. All of the stuff we've seen Sony show off, because of course it was a Sony exclusivity deal at the time, although it has since been announced that it is coming out at the same time on PC as it is PS4. And this could be one for your Oculus Rifts and your HTC Vives as well, to really get immersed into the game. There are games out like Elite Dangerous which do kind of do this exploration sort of thing. No Man's Sky, though, appears to be... It looks more interesting because for a start you can land on planets, which I know you can do on not XCOM, Jesus Christ, we just spoke about that. I know you can do that on Elite Dangerous, where you can land on planets now and stuff, but it's not the same. This is like a seamless transition down onto every single planet. The planets have got life, they're not just barren rocks, and you can do things on the planets and stuff like that. So I am looking forward to it. I do think it's going to be an interesting one. Could possibly be the most... well, you know what? This could be the biggest failure of the year, or it could be a great success. I mean, I'm all for indie games and indie games that have been funded and indie devs that are getting funded by bigger companies to actually produce their dream, because this is what drives the industry forward. But yeah, on the other hand, this at times I do feel like Sony in particular have balled this game up to be some sort of absolute awesome game that everybody cannot wait to play, and I just fear there will be hordes of people sitting in their living rooms with this game going, okay, I'm really bored because all I've done is fly around, and yeah, this is boring. And that's what I dread for this game. To me, though, hey, I'm cool with playing that kind of game, especially on my PC, but I just don't know if there's that big of an audience. It's interesting. But yeah, it's definitely one to look forward to, and it's definitely one you should care about as well. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Do you remember Deus Ex Human Revolution? I remember that game because it's one of the best games that's come out in recent years. And this was a game that came out and everybody expected it to be an absolute bag of shit. It was like, oh, here we go. It's a remake of Deus Ex. It's going to be terrible. Nobody's going to care. What the hell? Actually, this is really fucking good. One of the issues that game had at the time, it had some dodgy AI. Actually, there's a video I put on the channel. If you go and search the channel for... Oh, what the hell did I call it? Something Jensen. Because I was standing on top of a box, basically, and the AI couldn't get to me. It was pretty funny. But it had a problem with the AI at the time, and the graphics were quite poor for the time. Like, the texture resolution was abysmal. But you ignore all of that, and you play the game, and you get given this enthralling tale of humans, augmented humans, and how the world is starting to change. There's a clear divide between those who are augmented and those who aren't, and you've got people who fear the augmented people, and you've got augmented people who think they're superior to normal people. Then you've got people who believe the human form should never be changed, should never be butchered. And then you've got people who want to drive it forward. You've got large corporations. You, of course, play as Adam Jensen, who you're like an agent of one of these large corporations, and you go through... It's such a great game, Human Revolution is. It's... Okay, it had some issues with DLC again and things like that, but it was... For what it was a fantastic game, and it came out of nowhere. So Deus Ex Mankind Divided looks fucking awesome as well. When I say looks awesome, I mean graphically, this game looks absolutely insane. It's like, whoa, this looks really good. So it looks like we're going to get a game which is going to launch with high-end graphics, which is great because its little brother didn't. However, everybody remembers what happened with their pre-order DLC issue, where it was like, oh yes, if you vote on this, if you pre-order this, then we'll give you more stuff if you get your friends to pre-order this. Luckily, though, they went back on that, so that shows that they are in tune to some extent with the community around the game. Obviously, why they did it in the first place, who bloody knows. But this game could be awesome. It could be one of the best RPG, and I'm going to call it an RPG because that's what it is. It's a FPS RPG game of the year. This could be great. I'm hoping this is like what Witcher 3 is for the open world RPG. Deus Ex Mankind Divided is the same sort of thing for the FPS RPG kind of open worldy but not really sort of game. Everybody remembers Deus Ex the original, and that was a fantastic game. And as I say, when Deus Ex Human Revolution came out, people were a bit like, is this going to be any good? And it turned out to be really good for what it was. It had a really compelling storyline. So I hope for Mankind Divided, the storyline is even more compelling. The game is even more complex. The game, as we already know, looks way better than its predecessor and looks absolutely fantastic even for modern games coming out in this year. And I think you should keep your eyes open for this, even if you're not a fan of FPS games on the whole. It's not Counter-Strike Global Offensive. No, you can go through and play the story, and there'll be different ways of playing the game. It's Deus Ex, there'll be non-lethal, there'll be lethal ways, there'll be like different ways of doing those kind of things combined together. I mean, of course, people remember with Human Revolution, the whole boss battle fiasco where they actually farmed out the bosses to a different company, which was a weird thing to do. But they said this is not the case for Mankind Divided. What this meant is if you were playing the game non-lethal, when you got to a boss, you had to kill the boss because that was the only way to win. And it was way more difficult for people who had non-lethal equipment, whereas somebody who's just gun-toting would just run in and just start drilling the bosses with assault rifles and God knows what, and would absolutely win. So that was a really major design flaw, but that's not going to be the case for this one. So I'm when I said that XCOM 2 is what I'm looking forward to the most, Deus Ex Mankind is probably the second game I'm hyped for this year, and we really should care about this because if it's fantastic, then we'll get more, and we always want more. Good God, we need more. Tom Clancy's The Division. Don't laugh. I can hear you laughing in the back. Do not laugh. Sty, why the hell have you included Tom Clancy's The Division in this list of games we should look forward to and in fact care about in 2016 on PC? So this game was a different game before E3 last year, where they showed us totally different footage of the game, and it looked completely different to the stuff they showed us the year before. It appears this is now a type of MMO FPS loot-based game. So why the hell should we care about this? Well, we should care about it because Destiny, which is on the consoles, even though it's a console game, and it kind of begrudges me to say this, is a really good game for a while. But it's a really good game, okay? Yeah, it's 30 FPS, it's this, it's that, it's console FPS, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But for what it is, it should totally be on PC. It's one of the games that should just be on PC. And why it's not, I do know, because they want console bullshit, don't they? Anyway, apparently Destiny will come to the PC at some time if leaked documents were to be believed. But anyway, we don't know when that is. What we do know is that Tom Clancy's The Division is coming out on PC. And it's an MMO FPS style. Well, it's not an MMO. Or is it an MMO? It's a group-based. I guess it's like Borderlands in a way, but it's all online, or it appears to be all online. So you can get groups of people together. You can go on missions. You can find loot. There are PvP dark zones, I believe they're called, where you can go to areas and try and kill other people. And it seems that it's like not just a straight-up sort of deathmatch, but more of like a tactical kind of cover-based third-person shooter style thing. It looks quite interesting, and I think there's a massive gap on PC for these FPS Diablo clones, if it's even fair for me to say that. A game that's based around loot, a game that's based around getting your character better through loot drops, leveling your character up, and all of that stuff. We don't really have that on PC. Yeah, we've got Borderlands, but Borderlands isn't a large multiplayer experience, is it? It's you can play with your friends, you can play co-op, and I think groups of 4 can you in Borderlands 2? But it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is there is a big gap for this style of game. It's almost like an FPS Diablo, yeah? And if this can provide that, then this could be actually a bit of a dark horse for 2016 and could be quite good. But we know it's Ubisoft, and we know that things are prone to change rapidly. Hell, like this game already changed over the last 2 years drastically, so we're going to have to see where this goes. But it is definitely one you should care about, because this could open the floodgates for more games of this style, and also it could force the people at Activision to say, hey, you know what? That game is selling really well. We need to get our Destiny game as fast as we possibly can onto PC. Now, I'm not saying Destiny is a brilliant game. I'm just saying Destiny is a game that would work way better on PC, and I'm on record saying I probably would play Destiny a lot more if it was on PC. I mean, I know a lot of you guys out there do play Diablo 3 still. And hell, a lot of people play Diablo 3 and games like Path of Exile. Why do people play those games? Because they like action RPG games that are loot-driven. I like action RPG games that are loot-driven, but I much prefer an FPS loot-driven game. So, like, to me, I'm more of like, I'd always class myself as like an FPS RTS gamer, okay? So, I would absolutely love an FPS version of Diablo. If you can give me that, then I'll take it. That's why you should care about Tom Clancy's The Division. Dark Souls 3. Oh, baby. Miyazaki is back. But why should we care? Well, it's Dark Souls. Right, this is a stupid thing. Why should we care about Dark Souls 3? Especially on PC. Well, we should care about it because this is the final Dark Souls game. This is the Dark Souls game where Miyazaki comes back and he says, okay, we're going to make the best Dark Souls game that has ever been made. Now, we look at Dark Souls 1. This is in my opinion, but I'm sure people will agree with me. Dark Souls is a far superior game to Dark Souls 2. The reason for that is Miyazaki is, well, he was the director for Dark Souls. He wasn't for Dark Souls 2. He took a backseat. Other people were involved in that game, and you can kind of tell. While it does follow the Dark Souls formula, and I'm not saying Dark Souls 2 is a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, it follows the formula, but it doesn't have that same sense of intrigue, that sense of mystery, which quite clearly Miyazaki is the one who brings this into the game. Now, he's back for Dark Souls 3. Obviously, he worked on Bloodborne. Now, if you play Bloodborne, you do get that sense of the unknown, that sense of mystery, the sense of like, I am in this completely alien world. We've got to put these very vague clues together. We've got to try and build a story and go from there. I do think, though, Bloodborne did help you out quite a bit more, whereas compared to Dark Souls didn't. I felt really like, what the hell am I doing in Dark Souls for a very long time? Whereas with Bloodborne, I kind of picked it up faster. Now, maybe that's because I played Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, so when Blood Bowl came around, no, that's a different game. Bloodborne came around, I kind of knew what to look out for, maybe? I don't know. But Dark Souls 3 could be, and they say is going to be, the best Dark Souls game. And the final Dark Souls game. And we should care about this, because this is a very unique game franchise. And the fact that it comes to PC, the fact that the support on PC was so fantastic for Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 is awesome. It means that we will see more games that come from Software, and they will all be on PC, apart from Bloodborne. But that was a PlayStation exclusive, which again, I guess that is another game that should be on PC. So for me to sit there and go, yes, From Software bringing all the games to PC, Bloodborne should be on PC, but okay, PS4 exclusivity deal, yada, yada, yada. We get that. It's fine. It runs absolutely fucking terrible on the PS4 as well. At least with PC, we can brute force stuff through. So yeah, I'm expecting to see loads of mods for this game. I'm expecting it to be the biggest Dark Souls game. Like in terms of everything, size of the game, complexity. We've seen some of the combat, and it does look like a mix between Bloodborne and Dark Souls, which looks pretty good. Because like Bloodborne combat, I did enjoy that. It was slightly faster than Dark Souls combat, which was kind of more measured and slower. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely one everybody should look out for, especially if you're fans of the Souls series. And you know what? I'd actually like it if Demon Souls came out on PC, although that's never going to happen. But we can hope, right? I don't know. Anyway, you should care about Dark Souls 3, ladies and gentlemen. Good lord. Dishonored 2. You know what? I was late to the Dishonored party. Really, really late. In fact, I only played Dishonored last year. Yeah, I think it was around about March 2015 that I played Dishonored. So I was very, very late to the party. I don't know why I missed the game. Oh, no, I do know why I missed the game, actually, in the first place. Because I think I had the game since launch. And I remember loading the game up, and where you have to escape at the start of the game. The AI was so terrible. Like, I was standing clearly in the open, and the guards were looking at me, and they just couldn't detect me. And I was like, I can't play this. But that's when I was an idiot, ladies and gentlemen, and I couldn't accept that, you know, sometimes games, they're just going to be games, you know? Anyway, I played through it. Awesome game. Really awesome. It pissed me off that I missed it when it came out, because I think it came out in 2012. So, you know, I'm 3 years late to the party there. Awesome. So Dishonored 2 was announced last year at the... In fact, it was the first ever Bethesda special E3 press conference thing they did, where they announced like Fallout 4 and Doom and all of that stuff, and then they also announced Dishonored. But what makes this interesting is it's two storylines instead of just having the one storyline with Corvo. There's Emily Caldwin as well. So there's the two characters, and they apparently have their own storylines, and you get to play both of them, and it's going to be this like intertwining kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's more Dishonored, and Dishonored was an FPS stealth game. It's kind of like the modern day Thief. Everyone who's got a PC and has played everyone who's an old man and has got a PC and has played the Thief games years and years ago. These are kind of the modern Thief games. You get to skulk around in the shadows. Yeah, sure, you can run in all guns blazing because, you know, gamers need choice and whatnot. I always prefer to play stealthy. In fact, what I like to do with these style of games, I know a lot of people like to be purist. They'll be like, I guess Deus Ex is the same kind of thing, where you can either go pacifist or full murderer or whatever. The way I like to play these games is I like to be stealthy, but if things go wrong, then I deal with the situation however I can, and then I move on. I don't think to myself, oh crap, I need to load the game back in because I've just been detected. No, I carry on, and to me that's a more realistic experience. I cannot wait for Dishonored 2. And we should care about this because it's Dishonored 2, and it's more FPS stealthy kind of shenanigans which is going on, which is great. And also, it should actually have a pretty good storyline, because the storyline in Dishonored was really good, and it kind of made you care about the characters. So when things happened to the characters, it was sad, and it also had elements of mystery. Granny Rags, for example, I still don't know what she was about. I know she's some crazy witch woman, but and all these other different things, and the heart, I think that was the queen, right? Or the empress, or something ridiculous. All these questions. I like games which make me think or draw me into their world, and Dishonored did that. And Dishonored 2, I'm hoping will do that again, but actually do it twice if it's given us 2 characters to play. Could be ridiculous, and that's why we should care about this game. And finally, and by no means last, because this is just there's no order to this list, it's just 10 games you should care about in 2016 on PC, is Mount and Blade Bannerlord, because this is a new Mount and Blade game. Now, if anyone's played Mount and Blade, or any of the various Mount and Blades, but obviously most people will say that Mount and Blade Warband is the best Mount and Blade, and not like with Fire and Sword and Napoleonic, whatever was the other one, and what other various DLC and God knows what came out for the games. They eat your life. You play Mount and Blade Warband, you'll play it for a minimum 800 hours. It's such a simple game as well. So let me build the picture in case you don't know what this game's about. So you're basically a guy, right, that turns up in this is Warband. You turn up medieval wherever the hell we are, like Scandinavia or somewhere. I don't even bloody know. And then you run around and you make friends with people in little villages, and then you earn money, and then you recruit guys to be in your army. And then you slowly but surely take over everywhere through filthy negotiation, through outright warfare, which is done really well, because it's actually you're on the battlefield, you see your army, you see the enemy's army, and then you engage them, and you can give your guys orders. And then you can run around like butchering people. It's so addictive. Holy shit. So why should we care about Bannerlord? Well, it's a modern version of Mount and Blade. The graphics look awesome. The gameplay's got loads of like crazy things in it, which were just not available in Mount and Blade. Things like, I think it's got crafting and all kinds of stuff, and it looks ridiculous. This is going to be a game. The thing is, this is a winning formula. It can't possibly be a bad game. If it is just Mount and Blade with extra features and a better graphics engine, it's already won. You will already play this game, and you should totally play this game. In fact, if you're listening to this video right now, you're like, what the hell is Mount and Blade? Go and buy Mount and Blade Warband. It will be dirt cheap. I'll be surprised if it's any more than £5, and play the game. You will understand straight away, holy shit, this is a game I need a sequel to, and you will get it. I mean, Mount and Blade Warband did have, I guess you could call them sequels, with like Fire and Sword, where it added firearms to the game and other bits and pieces like that, and the Napoleonic Wars one, where again added like some various different bits and pieces. Not really major stuff, and in fact, most people I would argue as well that weapons made the game, firearms made the game kind of boring, because with Warband it was more melee combat. Okay, there were things like arrows and javelins and whatever that could get chucked off. And I think you could get slingshot things chucked off your head and all that shit, which were annoying because sometimes you'd instantly die in a battle and whatever. But yeah, I think it benefits more from a medieval setting than it does a more modern setting. So I can't wait for this game. You know what? This is probably my third most anticipated game of the year. I guess just to recap this, the games that I'm most looking forward to in 2016 is XCOM 2, number 1, Deus Ex Mankind, number 2, and Mount and Blade Bannerlord. I need that game. Okay, there's a load of other games out there. There's like Battlefleet Gothic. Yeah, I'd like to play that. And a ton of other little games. But I'm not going to say that they're my most anticipated games. I guess Total War Warhammer I am also looking forward to as well. But yeah, what I'd like to know, guys, anyway, is what do you think of what I've just said about each of these games in the comments? And what games are you looking forward to the most in 2016? And what games do you think PC gamers should particularly care about? Now, what I'd like you to do is, if you do leave a comment, try and explain why. Don't just say, oh, you should care about Battlefield 5, if that's even a thing. I've just made that up. Or like Mirror's Edge. Okay, that's a game that's coming out. Yeah, Mirror's Edge Catalyst you should care about. Well, why? We need to know why. I mean, in my eyes, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, yeah, we kind of should care about it, but it's just Mirror's Edge. It's not really anything amazing. It's just a FPS parkour game. It's going to be enjoyable. What about Mass Effect Andromeda? Maybe we should care about that. There's a lot of games, and I want to. In fact, I'll be very interested if any of you guys know of smaller indie games that maybe I'm not aware of right now. That would be interesting to see what you guys think about those kind of games and why we should care about them. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I've been Stylosa, this is Unit Lost, and these have been the 10 PC games you should care about in 2016. You can follow me on Twitter if you like, guys, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I will catch you next time, people. Toodaloo.